I don't know what happened there. I'm in York, New Salem, and I lost my feed. I think it's a conspiracy theory. I think the deep state cut off my Facebook Live because I was on to something. I was in the middle of a Facebook Live and my broadcast was interrupted. I've never seen anything like that happen before. I think it's because I was on to something there. The deep state cut me off. I'm kidding, by the way. But anyway, my point is that forever and ever, we have been able to disagree. And then we've been free to go do whatever it is that we wanted to do, regardless of whether or not our neighbor agreed with it, our coworker agreed with it. I think that's, to me, one of the hidden tragedies here, is that forever and ever, and we're still experiencing part of it, right? Like, some people think that we should 100% stay on lockdown. They're entitled to that opinion. And then there's other people that are on the extreme other side that believe that we should really just be business as usual, which is the other extreme. And that's the challenge with extremes, is oftentimes, they miss the point a little bit. It's so far one way or the other. A lot of times a compromise somewhere in between is the safer, more practical approach. And the point is that forever in the history of this company, people that believe that we should be 100% quarantined, we should be inside of our homes and do virtually nothing. Leave under only extreme circumstances for food and emergency health care. And then there's people that believe that we should be able to go out and do whatever we want. My point is that for an eternity, those people have been able to do whatever they felt was best for themselves. And today, the world that we're living in right now has stripped us of that freedom. And for me, that is the one thing that can't be disputed. It doesn't matter if you are on the side. Look at this. Got a nice little billboard up there. I have 14 new billboards coming. 14 new billboards that are coming. So you'll see a lot of those. But my point is that everybody is entitled to their opinion. And it's one of the things that I consume every day. I read it. I look at different posts. I look at different people's positions. I look at their opinions. And I absorb it all. Over the course of time, I've seen people make a certain point about a perspective about, why they believe that herd immunity is the best approach. And then I've read where people believe that, they think that we should be on some form of very strict quarantine for upwards of a year until there's a vaccine. And, all that makes us feel a certain way when we hear it. What you have to try and do is remove emotion and make your decisions based more so on logic. But this video has nothing to do with what's right or wrong. It has nothing to do with, whether I believe that we should go back to work today and everybody should be able to come and go as they please. And it has nothing to do with any opinion of mine or perception of whether or not a complete lockdown is the approach. Where I see there being an issue is forever and ever and ever in this country, for 250 years, we've been allowed the opportunity to make our own decisions. And that's the one thing that we're not seeing, right? Like in every other case, which, Facebook's like the argument meeting place for everybody, right? It's one of the cool things about Facebook. It's also one of the things that, is extremely frustrating because people sometimes attack each other. They'll say things that they might otherwise say in person. But here's the catch, is that after people argue on Facebook or they argue wherever, they then can go do whatever it is that they want to do. And whether you want to stay on lockdown or whether you want to leave your house and go back to business as usual, you're being told what to do, and you have lost the freedom to make that decision yourself. And we all share in that. Now, in this particular case, the people that believe in the quarantine and the lockdown approach aren't feeling the same type of emotions as the people that want to do otherwise. But I'm concerned that at some point those, the abilities for government to make decisions about our freedoms may not stop at the current situation. And that for me is the biggest issue. Megan, what's up? How are you? Jeremy, Ryan, Garrow, what's going on? So I think that's one of the things that we should all consider, is that we're entitled to our own opinion. And who knows who's right? I mean, we're in unprecedented territory. But the one thing, whether you like it or not, is everybody has had the right to do their own thing. There's been people that have disagreed with certain stances on a number of different very, very important topics, whether it's, police brutality or abortion or women's rights, immigration, all of that stuff. We've all had the opportunity to argue with each other on Facebook about it. And then we've each had the opportunity to go about our business and take action the way that we see fit and live our lives. And the one thing that's now changed is that we are still able to engage. And that's the wonderful thing about our country, and the wonderful thing about just us as Americans and humans, is that we can develop our own opinions. We have the mental capacity to rapidly process information and make decisions in a split second. It's quite frankly what separates us from the rest of the world. It's what makes us people. And we are now, regardless of our position, regardless of our opinion, regardless of our economic position, regardless of anything, we have been stripped of the right to make our own decisions. And that is the one thing that I think is non-negotiable. It's the one thing that is extremely unfortunate and terribly wrong about the situation. And the reality is, and some people are going to say, yeah, but you're going to have some idiots that are going to go out. They are. And they will pay the consequences of their actions. The world has a way of sorting those things out. People have the ability to go skydiving. And it may be, in some people's eyes, it's extremely risky. I'd never do it. You're risking your life. And every once in a while, someone that skydives has an accident and dies. But it's their right. It's their God-given, right in this country to be able to make that decision if that's what they want to do. And I think one of the things for me that I'm struggling with is not the science or the economics or any of that stuff. For me, it's simple and plain that forever and ever and ever, we've had the ability to make up our own minds, develop our own opinions, and then we've been able to act on those accordingly. And if you believed in a certain political stance, you were able to go out and run your business that way, right? You were able to go out and live your life according to the set of morals that you established. And right now, today, across the entire country, we're not afforded those same freedoms. And again, right now, I think what you're seeing is the folks that fully support the quarantine, believe in it, and, absolutely believe that that's the correct approach, or feel more comfortable with that approach, aren't currently feeling the same type of, I don't know if oppression is the right word, and I apologize if I'm using that incorrectly, as the people that believe that we should be able to come and go as we please. Right now, those people feel differently about their freedoms. Forget about, again, the opinion of science and the cause of it and all that stuff. their freedoms are challenged at this point, and they're unable to go back to their business. They're unable to go back to living their lives. And right now, their freedom is being restricted, and they're feeling the consequences of it, where the folks that, are supportive of the quarantine and believe that it's the right approach. And again, this isn't about which one of those is right or wrong. It's the fact that those folks right now do not feel the pain of those restrictions. Do they feel the economic crunch? Absolutely. Are they going a little bit stir crazy? Absolutely. But I think what tips people over the edge is when it's their freedoms that are being impacted and their freedoms that are being taken away. And then you compound that with all of the financial strains, the psychological impact that this is already having on people and will continue to have on people. That, to me, is a big topic that is a major issue. And again, you're always going to have people that want to take away other people's freedoms because they believe it's inhumane, or they believe that it's unfair, or they believe that it's just not right. But the beauty of this country is that regardless of where you stand on any topic, that you've always been provided the opportunity and the God-given right to do what you felt was best for you. And for me, that's the biggest challenge right now. And that could be the tipping point that would set somebody off that is otherwise, relatively non-combative, relatively easy to get along with. But when you start taking away all of these things, and then you see the fact that your freedoms are taken away, that I believe is a major issue. And to put it into perspective, I mean, and I don't want to make again, I believe that the Vince says your rear wiper is on. It's a real situation we're dealing with. I know that there is no easy solution, and that much we know. But the one guiding principle that has always been, an unwavering, freedom is our ability to make our own choices. And immediately, in the matter of days, that was taken away from us and continues to be taken away every day. And that, I think, is one of the tipping points that you're seeing with a lot of people right now that feel that whatever they feel, right? Whatever your position is or your stance is, you don't have a choice. And that, to me, is the bigger issue, our lack of freedom. If people want to go back to work, they should be allowed that opportunity. If you don't feel that it's safe, then you should be given the opportunity to stay home, or not send your kid to school, or not participate in social gatherings, or not. You can shop a different way for your food. There's today more than there's ever been options of how we can do things or not do things. You can stay inside your house, we've all proven it, for an eternity and be entertained if we want to be entertained. We can have our favorite meals delivered to us. So I think one of the things that we need to appreciate is that in this country we have the ability to speak our mind. And one of the sometimes frustrating things for a lot of us is that we engage in arguments with people, and people don't see things the way that we see them, and we try and get them to understand our perspective, and it doesn't always work. But the beauty has always been when you put down your phone and you end that argument on Facebook. Forever and ever and ever, as Americans, we have been allowed the opportunity to go and do as we please. And today, we still see the separation of opinion, the separation of government, the difference of opinion, which is one of the beauties, one of the luxuries of being an American. We can speak our mind. The second part of that is, right now, we all have different opinions, but we're all being restricted in what we can do. So regardless of how you feel, you're being told what to do. You're not given the freedom to make your own decision. And again, this does not, if you go back and you look at, at what point does the government say smoking kills people? And and secondhand smoke kills people. So it's not even, about whether or not you smoke. It's about that you're, if they take that away, or booze. I mean, 80% of the people that are watching us like to have a drink. Alcohol kills people. It gets them sick. They become alcoholics. They drink and drive and kill other people. I mean, if those freedoms start, maybe that'll pull on some different heartstrings. Maybe that'll hit home with some people that right now, again, it's if it's not impacting you, and it's not changing your behavior, then it's hard to recognize the impact of our freedoms being taken away. But the bigger concern here for me has become, as I learn more and more about the situation and how it unfolds, is that regardless of who we are, regardless of how we feel, we have no choice. We are given no choice. The choices are being made for us about basic fundamental freedoms. We're not talking about the freedom to do something extraordinary. We're talking about the freedom to work, the freedom to leave your house, the freedom to ride your bike, if that doesn't, make you just question a little bit about what's right and wrong about handling the situation. And again, I support you if you believe that social distancing should be around forever. I support you if you believe that vaccines is the only solution to this problem. I support you if you believe that you should be able to live your life with zero restrictions and not observe social distancing, and you shouldn't have to wash your hands if you don't want to have to. Do I disagree with you? No. Do I support and believe in your right to make your own decision? Absolutely. And there's a very slippery slope that comes along with deciding when people are allowed to be free, right? Like freedom of speech. Well, we give you the freedom of speech as long as you don't talk about this particular topic. I mean, we give you all of these freedoms under these. It's not freedoms if they're given 1,000 different, restrictions. And I embrace the fact that people, I love the difference of opinion. I appreciate the fact that people are willing to speak up and say that they feel the way that they feel, even if I don't agree with it. To me, that's what makes us who we are. And as an individual, I love to be challenged because I'm going to make mistakes. I may have a completely skewed and wrong perception of a situation. And if you aren't approachable, or if you're a person that constantly, puts up walls or boundaries about your beliefs and aren't open-minded, I think you really restrict your personal growth. So I love the fact that Quinn Howard and Garrow and John and Ryan may have completely different opinions about what's going on. And I encourage them to speak their mind, and I love when we're able to engage in meaningful dialogue where 2 people or 4 people disagree, but can respect each other's perceptions and can respect each person's context about where they're coming from, because it impacts everybody differently. It just does. And, the second part of that is that we've always, after those disagreements, been able to go out and do what we believed was right. And the big question for me is, that's the one thing that's been taken away from, not one thing, but that is the thing that's been taken away from us, is our right to choose. We're still arguing. We all still have different opinions. We all still live in different sets of circumstances. We all have different family situations. We all have different financial situations, but none of us have a choice. And it's always been forever and ever and ever that we have the ability. And Quinn, I don't even think this is politics at this point. And that's my point, is that regardless of what your political stance is on it, or your scientific stance, or just your perception of what is right and wrong, is that we've all forever and ever been given the right to make our own decisions. So, imagine if the next step is they take away our ability to be able to disagree. If we can't even have these conversations anymore. And it might seem far-fetched, but it's one step removed from what we're dealing with now. And the one thing that's always been consistent about that is you couldn't take away people's freedoms regardless of the circumstances. And the reason is not irresponsibly, is that the people that wrote these governing laws, 250 years ago, were so forward thinking that, if there could be a set of circumstances about, that someone could create, right? Because who's telling us that where does all this information come from? I talked to someone yesterday that works at Hershey Medical. They have 18 patients. They have 18 confirmed cases in this massive hospital. I don't know what to think. Is 18's a big enough number, particularly if one of those 18 people is your family member? But there's 10 million people that are on unemployment. And one of the statistics I read yesterday that scares the shit out of me is that for there's a direct correlation between unemployment and drug-related and alcohol-related deaths. And I know that the correlation was 1 to 3%. So for every 1% increase in unemployment, there's a 3% increase in alcohol and drug-related deaths. So it is a near impossible decision. But the reality of the situation, if we talk about data and we talk about science and we talk about facts, is that for every person you lay off, follow the course of three of those people, 3 times that amount of people are going to die not by the virus. They're going to die because they're going to resort to drug and alcohol abuse. It's not an opinion. It's proven data, historical data that's been tracked. For every 1% increase in unemployment, there's a 3% increase in drug and alcohol abuse, 3% increase in drug and alcohol related deaths. So when it comes push to shove, I mean, how do you're left with 1 or 3? And I think the challenge is right now is that the decisions that are being made are based on now. And I think one of the arguments, again, and this isn't about where your stance is. This isn't about whether the right thing to do is to wait for a vaccine or the Z-Pack or hydroxychloroquine. It's not about any of that. This is not about that. It's about our freedom to choose. And it's the one thing that's absolute. No one has the ability to choose. Even people that have the ability to continue to work and the ability to continue to provide. I've talked to a few of those people just in, normal phone conversations, or I've heard about, they're struggling just not being able to be socially active and go out and ride their motorcycle or their dirt bike or participate in softball leagues or, kids at this point. I mean, I'm concerned about our kids. I mean, they are so, in most cases socially active, and their identity comes from their group of friends or the sport that they play. I mean, right now my son would be playing AAU, and it breaks my heart that it's gone. He's missing it. And that decision was made for us, not by us. And he'll never be able to recoup those experiences and those memories. And I'm not sure that's right. It's not right. And again, with every decision comes consequences. But these decisions were made for us 250 years ago, and it allotted for situations like this. It accounted for, epidemics. It accounted for tragedies. I mean, it was there's laws that are written in the state of Pennsylvania. There is no allocation for the government's ability to do what they've done. Not under these circumstances, under different circumstances, war. I forget what the rest of them are. There's 2 or 3 sets of circumstances under a disaster where they're able to make those claims, but not under disease. It does not allow for that provision. But yet here we are. So again, that's my opinion, and it's not even an opinion. It's fact. Is that no matter who you are, no matter what your position is, no matter your risk, no matter your age, no matter your race, economic position, business owner, employee, corporation, whatever, is that forever and ever you've been given the ability to argue and have a different opinion no matter how crazy it was, and then do whatever it is that you wanted to do. And that's been taken away from all of us. And to me, that's the hidden tragedy in all of this. And that is the tipping point that at this particular moment is getting people to the point to where they're not going to stand for it. And I can see it happening now. We saw it yesterday in Michigan. Say what you want about the way it was done. It's human nature. Their freedoms are being attacked. They don't give a shit about social distancing. Thousands of people stormed the Capitol in Michigan yesterday. That's scary to me. At some point, that's going to only get worse. I mean, and then what do you do about crowd control? At what point do people just say, I'm going to go back to business. I'm going to go open up my restaurant. And then someone comes to enforce the lockdown, and there's a standoff between a hardworking American that's fighting for his life, and there's a standoff between the National Guard or the police and this business owner that ends in death. That's real. That is real. It's a matter of time. I mean, that doesn't just happen in movies. It happens in real life. And the stripping of people's freedoms is the tipping point. That's why you're seeing people become emotional. It's why you're seeing people take drastic action. It's why you're seeing people modify their normal character. So give people grace. You got to understand the context. I mean, it may seem like two of you are arguing about the appropriate measures, to handle the virus, but the reality is the context of where each of us are coming from has way more to do with how we respond to this situation than the actual facts. So, if you have a business owner that has 50 employees and is faced with laying them off or, depleting their life savings, that person may respond a little bit differently to this situation than someone, that has much less responsibility. We all have a home to worry about. I was talking to a friend yesterday, and we were talking about being a business owner. And they said, I'm glad I only have to worry about, and they gave me their address. I said, I can't imagine what it would be like to have to worry about 50 of those homes. So you have to understand the context of where people are coming from. And not everybody's just going to be able to go back to normal. That's the other thing that a lot of folks, their point is that, well, we'll just, once this is all over, we'll go back to normal. Maybe for some folks, because your normal is different than other folks' normal. And, again, the bigger point for me is not how you feel about what's right and wrong here, about, quarantine or vaccines or lockdown or whatever. The reality of the situation is that forever and ever and ever, Quinn said, but most people don't know how to respectfully disagree with still being able to value another's. I mean, Quinn, that's, but they have the freedom to speak, right? And we have the freedom to ignore. You can block them all. I get it, man. Like it goes both ways. And Quinn and I probably have not extremely different opinions on this, but I think we disagree about some of that stuff. But I wholeheartedly appreciate his mind, and he may be right and I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm not saying I'm right and he's wrong. I'm saying I feel differently than you do. And the beauty of the world has always been, well, for our world and our country, is the ability to be able to do what we felt was right. And that means he could do what he felt was right. I could do what I felt was right. Our family could make the decision about what was best for us. His family could make the decision at what was best for us. But as annoying as it is, as disrespectful as sometimes people are, that's their freedom. And when we start to draw lines about where those freedoms start and end, I just think it's scary. I feel comfortable that I can take the appropriate action to protect myself and protect my employees. I give them the freedom to make their own decisions. If we make the decision to open as a company and operate a certain way, it'll be done with open dialogue with our team members. And if there's a person that feels a certain way about, their ability to return to work, then they're given that freedom. I mean, if I just said, well, what if there were essential businesses? If Giant Food Stores or Wise Markets or whatever said, we're able to be open, but we're not going to be. What would happen then? What if the government decided that wasn't essential? And I mean, the one thing that's been clear is there's certainly an argument to be made for any business that is or isn't essential. We're starting to see now that lots and lots of people still commute, they still work, they still rely on transportation. I've seen lots of people that have needed replacement vehicles. They're not able to get a car. So shouldn't car dealers be essential? Maybe they weren't a month ago, but now they are. People can't wait 3 months to buy a car. Residential construction. People have to have a place to live. Families are growing still today. They need a bigger house. I don't know. It all just goes back to not having to figure it out. When you give people freedoms, they make their own decisions about how they're going to handle their situation. And I think you see the complexity of when you start to take away their freedoms and you start to try and make those decisions for people about what is essential, what's not essential, what is an appropriate, amount of workforce. It's a never-ending, sliding scale. So I believe that's why we've always been given the freedom, because those things will work themselves out if everybody is given the same freedom. So anyway, I've talked long enough. Like I said on the beginning of the video, I got an hour and I had an hour and 30-minute drive. I'm only 30 minutes away now. Have I really been talking for... Exercise is important to a healthy immune system, but you can't go outside and the gym is closed. Well, Garo, you can go outside. You are allowed to go outside. God, I'm saying that like it's a big deal. Think about that for a second. Man, we're allowed to go outside. Awesome. Man, I pray and hope that we're able to work through this. I mean, I've been focused on this date of May 1st. It's kept me positive about the whole situation. I think today's like the 16th. So 17th, 16th, 17th, 2 weeks away. So let's just hang in there. Be respectful of other people's opinions. Try and understand their context of where they're coming from. It has the biggest impact on how people respond to situations is the context of where they're coming from, and the whole point of this video has been, we've always been, given the right to argue and disagree, and then go about our business and make decisions that we felt was best for ourselves and our employees and our companies and our families. And that has been taken away from us. And that is the part that scares me, is that we're still feeling our ability to be able to argue on Facebook, right? So we still have the freedom of speech. We're still seeing the beauty of, our ability to be able to make our own decisions in our minds. But our physical capacity to be able to act on that has been taken away from us. And for me, that is the thing that concerns me the most about myself, my family, our community, our country. It's what makes us who we are. And that's it. I pray for every last one of you. And I'm going to do my part. And, this is a good, like Quinn said, I appreciate you, man. I don't think it goes past May 1st. I think the governor's saying we committed to May 1st. We're going to stick with May 1st. And he wants these next 2 weeks. Again, I think one of the things we've seen is, how 2 weeks can have a big impact, particularly with the nature of this virus, because of the way that the symptoms show and the amount of time that it takes for people to recover. Do I wish that the governor would have, signed and supported the legislation? Yeah. But I remain optimistic that I think the last thing they ever wanted to do was to underestimate the time. So I think when they put out May 1st, they did whatever they possibly could to make that date obtainable, if not a little overstretch. So I think what they were thinking, and if you look at the data and the curve and the amount, I think it would have supported, let's say, like now, April 15th. You're seeing large parts of the country, the federal government are having conversations about where they've seen the curve start to flatten, and forever that's what we've been told, right, is that we want to flatten the curve. Again, that's the other thing, is that no one at any point ever said that this would not kill people, that people wouldn't get sick. That's never been what we've been told. We've always been told that the primary focus and the objective here is to not overwhelm our hospitals, to overwhelm our staffing. And we are either at that point or extremely close. And we've been told that once we were able to flatten the curve, that we would go back to business. That we've been able to, when you think about it, whatever the amount of cases that we have now are people that are not going to get sick. So that we've eliminated that portion of the population that have gotten sick and recovered, and gotten sick and died, that are no longer potential candidates to be back in the hospital for the same virus. And I think there's been just a general education in the community about how to just, do your part. And if you got, 50 million Americans washing their hands and, just doing a better job of taking care of themselves and how they carry themselves in public settings, all of that is going to have a significant impact on the spread of the virus. And what we ought to be able to do is open back up, and people are going to get sick. They're going to go to the hospital, but it will be a manageable amount of people that won't overwhelm our healthcare. That's it. That's been the goal from what I've been told, and we've been told since day one, was to flatten the curve, not eliminate the possibility of getting sick. And all we're going to do is, instead of peaking and having 100,000 deaths, is that's going to be stretched out over the course of hopefully a very long time. And that's the set of circumstances, that's the tough pill that we have to swallow, that I think that we've lost sight of, is that people are going to get sick, they're going to die. It sucks. I could be one of them. My family could be one of them. But we have to continue to live. And again, for me, this isn't about, I don't want to get off on a tangent about how you feel or what your position is. I love and embrace the fact that people, even today, as I watch it on Facebook, they're able to engage in conversation and voice their opinion and take a stance and support their argument with information and emotion and do all of that stuff. It's the wonderful part about being who we are. It's the incredible ability that we possess as humans is to be able to rapidly process and information and make critical decisions and then go out and act on it. And the one thing that we're not able to do is act on it. That freedom's been taken away from all of us. And that, to me, is the hidden tragedy in this whole thing. It's the scary part about it. Anyway, I've talked long enough. I got 20 minutes yet to get to where I'm going. I appreciate you checking me out and tuning in. And I hope everybody has a good day and stay safe. And we'll see you soon. Peace.